Hello students, you must have gone through the study guide and summary of John Bart's essay, The Literature of Exhaustion, that I sent to you 2 days back. Today I have come up with a few more comments on the essay. Please listen carefully. First, we have to see what is the main issue of the essay. The main issue is, in my view, is actually a question that John Bart asks about the current status of literature and more particularly of the genre of novel. He asks whether the genre of novel has reached a dead end or the end point of creativity. For John Bart feels that each literary genre has its own time of glory and expiry. Now, if novel has reached its dead end or end of originality and creativity, what are the contemporary writers doing? What are they writing? Are they simply repeating whatever their previous writers wrote? Are they not creating anything new? So it is in this context John Bart says that in a sense there is no writer who can claim complete originality or creativity because each writer is in some way or the other indebted to his or her previous writer. So, the most important point that John Bart makes is writers of our time can challenge this dead end or end of originality and creativity by writing about this issue itself in their writings. That is, how they are trying to tackle this end of creativity, this dead end, how they can challenge this dead end. And in this context that John Bart mentions the Argentine writer J.L. Borges and why John Bart appreciates Borges. For John Bart feels that Borges very intelligently challenges this dead end or end of creativity by writing about this issue itself in his fictions, in his short fictions like Labyrinth's fictions, then his famous story, Pierre Maynard, the author of Quixote, Don Quixote. Okay, so it is in this context, it is this way that Borges challenges this end of creativity, and there is no other way to get out of this dead end. So while trying to address this question, John Bart also mentions some artists of the 1960s and how they tried to break away from tradition and try to bring something fresh and new in their respective art genres. But again, John Bart feels that however much the writers and artists try to rebel and try to break away from tradition, they can bring changes only outwardly because the essential thing remains the same. That way, no writer or no novelist can claim complete originality and creativity. Burt also mentions three categories of artists in his essay. Number one, technically outdated artist. Number two, technically up-to-date non-artist. And number three, technically up-to-date artist. So by technically outdated artist, he means that an artist who creates things, but who is not much focused about the technical experimentation or the changes that he can bring to form and style. Then the second category of artist is technically up-to-date non-artist. Then there is another category of people whom Burt calls non-artists, but who try to pretend to be artists, and who are more focused on technical or stylistic innovations, but inwardly there is nothing artistic about their work. Then the third category is technically up-to-date artists. So according to Burt, these technically up-to-date artists, they are artists, they have the insights of an artist. At the same time, they are equally concerned and focused about their technical innovations. So it is in this context that he mentions two important 20th century writers, Franz Kafka and Samuel Beckett, who brought innovations to their writings by using the reality of our time not just as a theme of their novels or plays, but also that they use that reality in their forms as well, and that way they brought innovation to the genres of novels and plays. For example, he gives the example of Beckett's use of silence in Molloy and Watt, and he says that at the end of his writer's career, Samuel Beckett realized that at the end there is silence that matters. The universe is made of silence, and therefore he uses silence than speech and voice in these two novels, Molloy and Watt. So that way, Burt thinks that Kafka and Samuel Beckett were very creative because they brought innovations to their theme and as well as to the form, the genres in which they were working. Again, then I'd like to remind you one thing, that while reading the essay, you will find there are many references to artists and writers which may overwhelm you, and therefore, your prime focus should be to follow the main line from the beginning to the end of the essay. And at the very beginning, Burt makes it categorically clear what are the points that he wants to bring into the frame of the essay. So you keep your focus on those key points and try to follow the entire essay, try to keep links with one point after another, and you keep the rest of the references, you push them to the periphery while following the main line of the essay. And then later on, when you discuss the essay, you can bring those references which you find easier to handle, which you have understood, and which you find more relevant. I think that way you may take an easier approach to the essay, the literature of exhaustion. So this much for today, students. Please send your feedback, and so I can come up with more commentaries, especially commentaries on birds, like why bird appreciates J.L. Borges so much. So this much for today. Thank you, students. Take care and keep studying.